Hi everyone, welcome back. Still with us here on the C Morning Show on C Today. Now we're going to talk all about investing and money. I know you're going to love this, Shanaz. It doesn't matter whether you just recently got hired for your very first job. In fact, even if you're still in school with the right basics and the right tools in hand, everyone can start investing. And that happens to be our topic. Up next year, we're going to talk about the basics of investing.
Ooh, okay. Actually, understanding of investing among Indonesians have significantly improved, and many are now aware they can actually begin investing even when they're young. And choosing which one fits their budget, though, I think it's another problem, right?
Yeah, it's a whole new topic. But investing will always involve some degree of risk. We all know that. One should exercise caution always in choosing where to plant their money in order to make it grow. Now, how can we do that? We're going to bring back one of our favorite financial planners, Metta Anggriani, who will also teach us how to allocate our earnings in order to maintain good financial health. Good morning, Metta.
Hi, Metta.
Good to see you again.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Shana.
Good morning, Metta. Metta, let's jump into this. So why should we, as young generation...
We?
We.
How young are you, Shanaz?
I'm very young. I'm only 17.
Okay.
When's the best time to start? Maybe you can explain to us about this.
Well, the best time to start investing is as early as possible.
Yay.
So that's why when you said, what is how's the point? What's the point when you say it's time for you to invest? It's when you start to earn money. When you have an income.
Okay.
It's the time for you to reward yourself with investment. So even like when Paul said that even when you're young, maybe you're still in school or some or maybe you have some pocket money from your parents, then you can also start investing.
Okay.
So you learn how to set aside your money for your future needs. So that becomes a habit for you to put aside money on a regular basis.
That's right.
Metta, perhaps could you break down the difference between investing and saving? Excuse me.
Well, yeah, savings is the basic for investing. And so, as I mentioned earlier, saving is actually a habit for you to put aside some money. So the basic difference between savings and investing is there are two. First is the level of risk taken. Saving is usually to manage risk, to have a higher certainty. So normally, when you talk about savings, you choose a low risk instruments.
Okay.
But when you talk about savings, your goal is to maximizing the returns. So that's why you can choose a higher risk so you can have a higher returns. And the second difference is about the timeline. So normally people's savings is for a short term. Like for example, you have some goals in the 1 to 3 years period, and then when you talk about investing, normally you do it for a longer term, like maybe 3 or maybe over 5 years. So that's the basic difference between savings and investing.
Okay.
So the difference is the outcome of the end of our period,
So
right?
I'm curious then, if for a younger person like Shanaz, let's just say she's just about to finish
17.
school, she's gotten a little, she's got a part-time job, she gets a little bit of an allowance from her parents. Would she be wiser to just save, or does she need to split it, like have some savings, get through school, but also start investing some of it as well?
Well, when you are young, it's always good to start with investing.
Oh, really?
Because, yes, sorry, I corrected. It's good to start with savings because first, it start to form a habit. And the second is that you can start with the small amount of money.
Okay.
Right? So then slowly you can, when your capacity is increased, when you have a bigger income, you can also increase the amount of savings, so you can start investing. And then a second, when you choose a saving, normally you can start with a low risk income, a low risk instrument first.
Okay.
Right? So along the time, you can diversify your savings, your investing, your assets into a higher instrument, a higher risk of instrument.
Okay.
So that's how you learn about managing risk, and also to help you set a mental mind of how to do a saving, how to save your life, how to predict for your future. So there's two benefit for that.
Okay, so it's creating the habit
Yeah,
first.
it's a good habit.
Then, yeah, it's a very good habit. So What would you recommend the instrument for a younger generation for them to start investing?
Well, for start you can start with deposits or now you can also easily choose for a mutual fund. For deposit in the bank account normally is a low risk instrument, but there's a minimum that's quite big enough for you to set aside first, right? While in mutual fund, you can start with very small amount of money, let's say like 100,000 rupiahs a month, or regularly when you have money. So you can, with 100,000 rupiahs, you can buy a mutual fund. You can convert it into with the net asset value, so you can earn some units of the mutual fund, and the amount will be increased over the time. But if you have more money, you can also top up every time you have money. So the amount will
add to it
accumulating over the time.
as opposed to a deposit where you just have a term deposit will have like one amount and you have to either roll it over or cash it out, right?
Right.
Now, in your experience, Metta, how have you found young youths to be investing in? Do you find them to be more high risk, perhaps because they they don't have a mortgage to pay or dependents to support? How do you find that their investment habits are for the young generation?
Well, right now the young generation tend to be more aggressive because first now you have more information with the technology, with the internet. The information is everywhere. So they'll now learn to invest very early. Even before they learn how to manage their money, they start investing. Right. So they don't have the basic yet, but they know the instruments, they know how to do it, and with the technology you can just click on your phones, right? So it's easy, and they are a digital natives for now. So it's easy for them to just use the digital with the technology without knowing why they use it, how do you use it, and for what purpose. So it's different. So right now they are more aggressive, but the thing is, it's a good thing to start, because then when you start young, you can learn very early as well, right? When you, for example, when you didn't succeed, when you experience loss, you can start over because you're still young, you still have more capacity to earn more income. So at least, when you start, it's not the end. So you have a longer term, longer time to learn.
And nobody's an expert at the very beginning. Everyone's a beginner at the very beginning, right? Now, I came from a time, I grew up in a time when if you bought stocks, you would have to check the newspaper and follow the trends of the stock prices in the newspaper. You can't just pick up your phone and check, oh, I wonder what the stock price is.
What year was that, Grandpa?
Oh, it's a long time ago. What is before millennials? Gen what?
Gen X.
Yeah, I'm probably around there. I'm probably Gen X. Anyways, so we're going to also discuss as a young person who's just earning money for a first time, how to break down your salary. And for that, I think we're going to send it over to Kai. Kai, you ready?
Yes, I am. And I'm so surprised that you still have to look at newspapers, because at least during my time, I could just Google it.
Right. Come from different generations.
You're right. Anyway, Metta, I'm always a residential case study kind of girl. Last time we talked about health checks financially, and this is also really important because you mentioned kids these days, or younger people, are the digital natives, and they have more access and they're learning how to invest before. Now, you mentioned some of the basics, right? And this is perhaps something they have to learn after. So let's say they have been hired with their first job, and it's the minimum wage salary from Jakarta with a salary of 4.8 million rupiah a month, and wants to start investing. How should they allocate the funds to make sure that they have the space to be able to invest as well? Can you give us some insights? Wait, let me just wrap up a kind of a chart. Here we are. There we are. So I'm waiting for you. So this is the pie chart. This is the pie of 100% of the allowance of the salary, that is 4.8 million. So where do we start?
Let's say 5 million to simplify.
Okay, let's say 5 million salary. All right, Metta. So 5 million salary, 100% part of the pie. Which percent goes where? We've got maybe some basic needs and things like that. How much would you put, how much would you allocate to make sure there's some space for some investments?
Well, before we talk about before we apply to that 5 million cases, 5 million salary cases, maybe we should talk about what's the normal rules, the usual rules that for budgeting allocations, right? So we can use the 10, 20, 30, 40. So it means maybe 10% you can use it for lifestyle and charity, 20% for savings and investment, 30% for installment, debt installment, and 40% for living. That's the ideal. But let's say when you have 5 million salaries, assumption that you live in Jakarta, first jobber, maybe the first time when you have a salary, maybe you use almost all for living, right? But it's best to start with savings.
Okay.
At least you can start with 10% for savings,
10%
and the rest of it for living. When you have a 5 million salary, it is better to manage that you have no debt, no loans. Because when you have such a very basic level of salary, it's important for you to stay liquid.
Okay. I think I messed this up. I have to do another one. Okay, so 10% for salary, right? This one. There you go. 10% for savings and 20, 30, and 40. Okay, so where does our 10% was for savings, right? Just gonna write it here. Okay.
If you can do that, then maybe the 20% maybe you can use for lifestyle. You know, when you are young, you want to exist, you get to start to try something new, try different things, to go somewhere, right? And maybe the 30 and 40%, I don't know, maybe when you have 5 million salary in Jakarta, maybe that's all for living, or maybe that's part of the lifestyle as well, right? Yeah. So that's the normal way.
So I would put 40% for basic needs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Basic needs. All right, so 40% for basic needs. And 30 would be some, what would you use the 30 for?
Well, ideally, if you can use that for savings instead, that's even better.
Okay.
So the 10% maybe you can use for, I don't know, some loans, installment, but actually that's not really recommended, because when you have a 5 million salary, it's better for you to just stay liquid with no debt yet.
Okay. So I would put the 30% as savings at 5 million as savings. And this is, I'll put this one, okay, rubber. I'll put this one then as a tentative for loans, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah. So if you don't have the loan, so that could actually be your extra, right? Your extra.
Right.
Your extra earnings that you could actually put into your emergency fund later.
Right. Either you can use it to add your savings, or you can use it to addition for your basic needs, so you can live more comfortably. Like, for example, maybe you can use for a better transportation modes, or maybe you can spend it to, a housing allowance, like maybe sewa cost or something. That's more on convenient, or maybe lifestyle. It depends.
So I would put this 10% as a flexible fund in case you need to add it anywhere else. So it's like the emergency fund basically for
Right.
the, yeah, it's very interesting. So if we can have a 30% savings out of the 5 million, how much would you allocate for investment?
Well, when you talk about savings, we can start with having an emergency fund first, right? Yeah. Because that's a safety net for you. So before you go further for investing, you have already some buffer if anything happened to your finances. So first, maybe you can start focus on the emergency fund, but maybe you can start investing once you manage to have like 50% of the targeted amount of your emergency fund, right?
Okay.
At least the 50% of the targeted emergency fund, you already have it. Then you can start allocating half of your savings allocations to investing. It's better that way.
I see. So you first make sure that you have, you have to start for the emergency fund first, because just in case something happens, and then you have the flexibility to add investment to it if you at least have reached 50%. Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting. All right. I think that's for me, that's all, because I think for basically how you manage a 5 million salary is already very, very tight, especially if you have to live in a city like Jakarta independently without having to live with your parents. I mean, fully independently, it's already a big challenge. But here I see it's not necessarily impossible, because 10% would make it around 500,000, which means this would be around 2 million. 40% would be 2 million for basic needs, and 30 would be, that would be like
one and a half.
That's right, 1.5 mil. With 20% of lifestyle is pretty big when you think about that's 1 million. Only on lifestyle. When you spend the food and then you have an extra 500,000 for a flexible fund, I think that could be very much possible.
Right?
Well, now we got the basics done. Back to you, Shanaz and Paul, because I think you're going to start asking about, once we got the basics done, and then you allocate some fund for investment, what's going to happen then?
All right. So what caught my attention out of all of that was the fact that Metta said, well, if you live in Jakarta, all those two remaining pieces of time will go to living, because it costs a lot more to live in Jakarta.
That's true.
Now, we have a quick question here, Metta. Solve this argument for us, please. If you buy things for your home, such as, accessories or like expensive coffee machines or rims for your car, would that be considered
Chanel
investment? Or what is that considered under living expenses for lifestyle?
Well, maybe it's more for a living expenses.
Okay.
But except that, like you said, when you said coffee machine or maybe like a television or laptops, that's the lifetime value of the instrument is more than 1 year, so it can be considered as an investment. But the value will be decreasing for after like 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, for example. So it's an asset. It's an asset,
right.
but it will be decreasing the value. And I mean, like if you don't use it anymore, like for example, when you have a handphone, and then within 1 year you want to sell it, the value has decreased maybe over 50%, right?
Sure.
So. But you can still use it. It can still be useful. You can still use it productively for your work, for your activities.
Right.
So it brings value to you. But when you sell it, the value has decreased a lot. So that's an asset, but it's not an investing asset.
It's a devaluing asset.
How about branded bags, Metta? Because
well, yeah, that's a good point. I know it sounds funny at the time, but because some branded bags actually go up in value.
yes,
So I've heard.
indeed.
Well, yeah, some branded bags, the collectible items only, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like not all branded bags, only several
can name brands if you want.
that can be invested.
Sure.
Same thing like arts, like paintings.
Yeah.
Not all paintings will increase the value, but some from the very famous painters will be high in value.
Okay,
So would you recommend me to buy some more branded
basically,
bags?
she wants to buy branded bags and tell her husband it's an investment. So was that
Still
gonna
need
count?
some justification, right?
Yes, I need some urge to do it. Would you recommend young generation, young people to actually buy some of the branded bags that are reliable?
And it's not just bags, because shoes, limited edition
shoes
shoes,
also.
sneakers are a very big thing. People buy it, and then its value is like 5 times what they bought it for, even though I'll never sell mine.
Yes, right now these youngsters, they bought sneakers, right?
Yeah.
The sneakers with the value as much as this branded bags.
Correct.
Well, actually, it's not really recommended. I mean, if you have the money, you can buy it, of
Okay.
course, right? But again, you have to think about what can you use with the money instead. I mean, like
Okay.
the opportunity cost, let's say, right?
That's true.
Right. And when you think about in the longer term, like for example, right now I have this kind of amount of money. How much do I earn it? How long do I earn it? And will I have another income, another stream level income coming in a few months? So if you have a steady income, then you can manage to buy,
Yay.
you know, branded bags.
That's enough justification
the
for
branded
me.
shoes.
No, you already
Enough
have her.
reasons
It's
for
okay.
me. Enough reasons for me.
Metta, it's always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing more insights in regards to
Oh,
thank you,
youth and how they should
Metta.
spend. and
Thank
invest.
you.
Take care. Good to see you again.
Take care, you too.
All right.
So are we going
Bye.
bag shopping after this, or what's
yes,
happening?
yes, but some brands that are recommended.
Yes, correct. Indeed. I'm going to get some sneakers while I'm at it. Anyway. All right, guys, we're going to take another short break, but we still have sports and entertainment coming up, so stay tuned.